Hello, hello. Welcome back. It is Friday, September
Woohoo!
15th. I had to look at the date. I'm like, I don't know what date it is. Welcome back to the Hire Me Podcast live show. And our music is going again. And
Oh man,
whether I said
all
I
the
was awake, I
things.
guess I'm not awake. Um, My name is Chris Lynn. Welcome to the show, everyone. If you're joining us live and if you are watching the recording, thank you for tuning in. As always,
Yes.
I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Heather Balcerek. How's it going, Heather?
Hello. Hi. You could call me Headphones Heather today because I'm in focus mode at work right now, and so that's when the big headphones come on. So I was like, well, I'm not going to change them because they're connected. So like,
Yeah.
we're just gonna go with it. So Headphones Heather today. But I'm excited to be here today, as always.
Yeah.
I
I know
act
we
like I'm
have
not here.
Well, we have if you're joining us for the first time, again, this is the Hire Me podcast where we're focused on elevating today's top talents and job seekers, where we create free video resumes for job seekers for them to share with hiring teams and hiring managers, or however they would like to share it. If you are interested in uh, if you're looking for a job and you want to stand out in a certain way, feel free. You've got our links right here. I can never remember where my finger is, right there. And so you can always sign up for one of those sessions, either with Heather or myself. It takes 15 minutes. Again, no cost, and you can get seen and in an elevated way. Today, we are joined by a special guest, Suzy Choi, who is going to talk to us about searching in this current hybrid environment that we are in. Heather, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're again, if you're watching live real quick, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, or any thoughts or any reactions that you might have. Make sure you just come and say hi. So Suzy, how's it going?
Going well on this fantabulous Friday, but you lose track of what day it is as a founder. So every day is the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we dive into our topic of the day, can you share with everyone, what you do and what Good People is, and what you're focused on?
Yeah, absolutely. Giving a brief summary, I come from a talent acquisition background, mainly in the GovCon tech startup. I have a little bit of staffing experience as well. So over a decade of experience in scaling companies, building out infrastructures, hiring the best people. Now I've transitioned into my founder role of Good People. And what we're trying to accomplish here is to help job seekers find roles and get the inside scoop on companies to really be more intentional with where they apply and find better long-term roles they're happy in.
That is awesome. How has that been so far since you transitioned into, being a founder and building up this community?
Yeah, if anyone tells you it's an easy road as a founder, they are lying. But I will say it's more positive than the negatives. Our community has grown to over 3,000 people, and it's such a vibrant community that I never thought it would become. We have a lot of people all around the world, mostly in the US, looking for roles in tech, in non technical roles, and technical roles itself. But yeah, it's been a great adventure nonetheless, challenging, but very impactful and meaningful to me.
When you were talking about like what Good People is about, you mentioned the words like being intentional about
Mm-hmm.
your job search. And I think back to when I was doing my job search, and it really kind of the tables turned when I started to be very intentional about things, and who I was, applying to, and that type of thing. So what should somebody do if if they're looking to be intentional about their job search? What are some things that they should know?
Mm-hmm. Well, to start off, the economy has not been kind for people here in the US, right? And a big frustration that many job seekers share is they're mass applying, right? Now they've gone into the hundreds, maybe few hundreds. It's been several, few months, etc., and they're not hearing back. And the ultimate question is why? And they're starting to think, is it a me problem? It's really not. I think being more intentional now too, and this goes more towards now experienced professionals. I think many of us have realized before we're trying to get our foot just wet or into the door, it's not just about salary, it's not just about the title, but we've also experienced probably great cultures and toxic cultures. And we've come to a point where we realize what's important to us. And every individual, depending on where you are in your personal journey, there may be specific benefits, certain missions, certain values that you really seek that make a good impact on yourself as an individual. Now, having that in mind, you're going to look for those companies and better assess, do I really want to spend 20, 30 minutes applying to this position and putting all my effort into preparing for the interview, etc., to possibly get an offer?
Yeah, that experience is the candidate experience is such a turbulent one. And
Mhm.
it is something that I think a lot of people in culture or HR teams just don't really think about. They don't take that design lens.
Mhm.
So how, as candidates are looking and applying and experiencing these really rough and kind of jumbled and difficult application processes, how can job seekers and how can those of us who are in this space who are helping job seekers kind of push back to create a better experience for all job seekers?
Mhm. It's going to be a very long journey. It's never a one person duty to do this as well. But in this context, I'll take a one or two person, recruiting team in a startup because typically that's the case. You're one person show. I think it's more so really being accountable and auditing where you are in your processes, right? It does take time. It's not something you can do overnight, but really understand where are the areas of process improvement within the candidate experience and journey that you need to improve upon. For example, when I was in the startup space, I came in and audited the entire process. And within that realm, too, you're usually dealing with very limited candidates, limited brand awareness, right? And you're competing with the FANG, now main companies that offer stupid, ridiculous amount of salaries. How do you compete with them for the best top talent? One thing I've realized after auditing the process and improving it is how are you making that other person on the other end feel along the way? We're ultimately humans, and I think many people in the TA space forget about that because we're on this grind, we're on this hustle mentality. But how do you bring back the element of humanity into the process itself? I think that was a key finding for me was there was one, the first time it happened, I asked the candidate, and he was very honest with me because we built this relationship and we had rapport. He was just like, Suzy, I have this offer that offers a lot more, but I'm going to go with your company. Right. And at that time, I was just like, but you said salary was also important to you. Why? I'm trying to dig in as a detective because from a business standpoint, I'm not trying to get this person to quit within the 30, 90 days. Right. And he was just like, ultimately, yeah, salary's important. It's not much of a difference. But the difference in it is going to be what mentally costs me. Like the way you made me feel throughout the process shows me internally what the company is like, right? And how you treat me as an individual and all the insights I saw along the way was enough for me to make a decision to be happy to go with your company. And I was just like, holy crap, like this is a game changer. So yeah, I know I think it's really important to just bring that human element into it and really focus on your customers that aren't just your clients on the business side, but your employees, your future employees, the people that are on the outside looking in. They're also customers in a sense too. So bringing that customer centric approach, I think it's really important.
Oh, you were like speaking my language there, Susie. Like when That I mean, that resonates so much with me and my philosophy, right? Of like leading people first. It's like your employees are your most important
Mm,
stakeholders, right? Because they are actually the ones that are driving the work, and that also extends to potential employees as well.
mhm.
Um, so, what are some of the other obstacles you're finding you think job seekers are dealing with right now, especially as they're searching in this world of hybrid return to the office, right? There's this huge pull and push
Mhm.
from both executive leaders and those who are employed and those who are job seeking.
Mhm. Well, I prefer the remote work, right? And everyone's different and how they prefer things, right? On reaching success or personal, whatever it may be. Although I prefer remote, the person next to me may prefer in office, right? Because they like that camaraderie sense, or they might want the flexibility of it being hybrid. It's hard to say. Every individual is different, but I think around that question, it's let me take a moment to really make sure I have my thoughts together on this. Um, I think a big issue too is you really need to understand what you're looking for in a job. Whether is do I really want to stay where I am? Is it the location? What aspects are you really looking for? I think you really need to figure that out first before you address everything else. But let me just talk about one tip where I think job seekers could improve on. It's just mass applying. And I've brought this up, early in the conversation too. When I say mass applying, it's you have a general resume. Use that same resume for all the positions you're applying for. One, I always say tailor your resume towards that specific job. There are great job descriptions, there are terrible ones, right? But for the good ones, it shows you and gives you the answers of this is what makes a successful candidate, right? Um, just look at that and tailor each bullet in your resume to accommodate that. Even though you may be transitioning, for example, many skill sets that are transferable within XYZ realm or of other roles, right? I'm not saying to tailor every single resume, but have like the top 10 companies you really, really want to work for and be putting more effort, right, to stand out. But if you're just throwing out your resume there and waiting, it's literally winning a lottery if you get an interview, right? You need to go through other traditional ways. Heather, I know you and I also discussed during the backstage how you got a job and LinkedIn got you that role. It's so many other ways of just not just applying to LinkedIn, Indeed. And I think job seekers too, I see this come up a lot. There are no jobs, right? There are no open jobs. There are a ton of jobs out there. You're not looking in the right places. You're going to where everyone is going using the same platform. You need to find other ways to get in front of recruiters or the hiring manager or even through referrals. And you got to have other job strategies to get that position you want.
Absolutely. The having the different strategies, I think, especially for people that maybe have been laid off or they're having to make that decision of I'm not going to return to office, so I've got to find something else. It's that moment of panic where they just start to mass supply and they don't take that moment to set that strategy into motion and say, okay,
Mhm.
wait, let me take a pause. Let's be strategic about it. Let's be intentional about it. Um, and I wanna go back to something that you said earlier about bringing the I had to write it down 'cause I forget. Uh, you said the element of humanity, like, bringing that back into the process of on the, TA or recruiter side, putting that back in. But it made me think of as a candidate, how can we also help bring humanity to our side, from
Mhm.
our side? Because yes, it's frustrating not to get answers back and all of that, but when you do get to talk to a recruiter, how
Mhm.
are you making them feel? Are you
Mm.
making what are you doing to establish that relationship? Because, maybe they are just the first person that you talk to. They're that phone screen just to double check you're a real person, before you get passed along, and you may never talk to them again. But if you take that moment to make them feel human, like put the humanity back in in your process too when you're dealing with companies. And then that also, I think that mentality maybe helps to get out of that cookie cutter. I'm going to apply to everything with the same thing. Put that human element back into your job search with your intentions and all of that.
Yeah, I love how you brought that up. And I want to touch further upon that as well, too. I think it's really great where a lot of candidates are reaching out to recruiters as well. That's a great strategy, but sometimes the approach is not correct. And what I mean by that is, I think on the flip side, let's turn tables. A lot of candidates forget that recruiters, TA people are human beings as well. Right now with the economy too, we are struggling and barely above water. So have a bit of empathy for the people in those roles. Many of the TA individuals were let go, and now that burden is left on the people that remain in those positions. Within the realm of hiring as well too, at times you're dealing with thousands of applicants you're going through. It's not just recruiting, because I've heard comments of individuals saying, why do recruiters get paid X amount? Like, that's stupid and absurd. You're just like hiring people, sourcing for people. It's not just that. There's so much more that goes behind. That's one thing I want to demystify for people. It's a lot of work on our end. But regarding the approach to, I've had messages come out to me that say, hey, I see you're a recruiter, find me a job. Like, it comes off very entitled. And you're not the only message or request we get. Sometimes I just get requests all the time. And you all know LinkedIn is maxed out on connections you can make. But those messages, even though they took effort to write something, you didn't make my life easier as a recruiter. I'm talking about this when I was in an internal position, right? Show that, make our lives easier. Show that you've done a little bit of the work. What position are you interested in? Are you even interested in a position with our company, right? Or do you think I'm just a staffing recruiter or a reverse recruiter that can find you a job elsewhere? Why do you think you're a good fit? Have you even applied? The people that actually took those steps to be more intentional, even within that 300 character message, I would definitely take the time to look at that, right? If you put in that much effort and it's not a good fit, I'll still reply. And if it's leaving such a good message in a sense or approach, I'm connected to my network of recruiters, right? So don't burn that bridge just because you get a rejection email or they are a little delayed. Give them a little bit of flexibility. But that recruiting TA world is small and we're all well connected, as you both are in your fields of study. And that word will go around if you are a nasty candidate and you will be on a DNH list, do not hire list. So, yeah.
How prevalent are those do not hire lists? I'm just curious.
Yeah, honestly, like within my realm of the world, cybersecurity is where I was in. So that world is really small, especially in the IoT world or like the SOAR space. That world is super small and niche. So I will talk to other people at the other organizations or even the hiring managers too within the VP level. They've worked with so many people that way. It just goes around and around. We'll just quickly message someone and be like, hey, give me the details on this person. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sandy just asked, does that DNH list really just, yeah, it sounds like informally it does, but there's definitely
informally.
Like, yeah,
I mean, if some people may have a list, like actual Excel list, right? But within the ATS too, you can actually mark certain candidates as do not hire. So there is that internally, but it's not publicized to other networks.
That's incredible. Well, as we come up on time, Suzy, what are some of you've spoken about being intentional, bringing the element of humanity back to the recruiting space of on both ends, from the recruiting side and from the candidate side. What are some of the other, I think everyone is always looking for like the big tip, right? Like, what is the big tip? And I think every recruiter or TA that we've talked to has had their own kind of special little tip that they think will give that extra little nudge. So if
Mhm.
we can ask, like, one of the things that you think, hey, this is something that can help you stand out just a little bit more.
Yeah. I'd love to bring some hope to all the job seekers out there, but I'm not just going to feed you fluff at the same time, right? I think more so realistic, honest feedback may be the most helpful to certain individuals rather than false hope. But I will start with the false hope real quickly. I know times are really tough right now, and if you are a job seeker, the light is always at the end of the tunnel. Okay. I know it's not looking great, but you will get there. Please don't fret. At the same time, though, the amount of effort you put in is the result you will get back, right? I think that's just reality. So make sure you utilize the internet, Google, your network. I think network is always your wealth in a sense. That's a lot of things people keep repeating, very successful people. Not too many people actually utilize their network. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think a lot of people on LinkedIn, that you've seen you posted, whatever, are more than happy to give back and help out. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Yvonne Martinez here, we don't have your name on the screen, but says exploratory conversations do help as well.
Mhm.
Get to know the organization for future opportunities.
100%.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge benefit. Heather, any last questions before we let Suzy go for the day?
Oh, I don't know that it's a question, but just a comment and a thank you. I can't remember specifically what you said in that last, like, here's my tip. But it like gave me the chills about like, yeah, like that's so true. And wish I could remember what specifically it was. But it did, but it just made me feel like, oh yeah, it's so spot on. I think it was probably around the effort that you put in. If you put in good things come out. So effort is not just let me apply to all 100 jobs
Mhm.
in the next 20 minutes. It's got good effort. Put in good effort, quality effort.
Mhm.
And then you'll get those quality results that you're looking for. So, but I appreciate your time. It's so good to meet you, Suzy. Thank you so much for coming on the Hire Me podcast on a Friday.
Told you Friday, it's Friday every day or Monday every day, however you want to take it. you know? But
Well,
no, thank you
Suzy,
so much for having me. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Suzy, real quick, as people are watching this live, we have several people who are watching live. Where can they connect with you? What would you like them to do, especially with good people?
Yeah, thanks so much for asking. You can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. Most importantly, if you are a job seeker and you're trying to find roles in the hidden market, especially fresh ones, come join our community. Please send me a message, or you can find us on the www web at thegoodpeople.io.
Awesome. Well, Suzy, thank you again, and we will be sure to talk to you soon. And we can't wait to see what happens more with the Good People community.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Suzy.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh, I know. Like I get the chills. I get all inspired. It just, want to just help more people. And, I mentioned earlier before we started that I got the opportunity to talk with somebody that's, going through this process right now and kind of speak some hope into them. And that's something that I love to do. And whenever, I we have people sign up for the interviews that we come in and we do that video resume for you. We help walk you through that process and we get to elevate you. That is just, I think it fills me up, hopefully, probably as much, if not more, than the person that's sitting there that I'm talking to,
Yeah.
because it means so much to me that if you sign up for an interview, a hire me interview, when you sign up for that, like it means the world to us. I'm going to speak for you, Chris.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to speak for you right now. But it really does mean the world to us that you're giving us the opportunity to help you because we do this because that's what we want to do. It's Friday. I shouldn't cry. Let me not cry today. I get all emotional about it because I do. I love this.
Yeah. Sandy, thank you again for giving us that little bit of support and validation.
Yes.
It's a good process for sure. At least we think so. So
Yeah.
yeah, we try to make it as seamless as possible. So again, as we sign off, we'll do all of the usual pump up and where you can find us and those things. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and follow us on YouTube and LinkedIn. Again, QR codes are there, so whip out your phone, take us, use your camera, and you can follow us there. We're getting, we're slowly creeping up. We're like getting close to 700 followers on LinkedIn. I know we're slowly creeping up to that 100 mark on YouTube, and we just continually keep getting more and more people. Again, if you are job searching or someone who's job searching, you can sign up for for one of these free video resumes. And again, it also gets published via audio on all podcast platforms, so you can do that. Heather's on the East Coast. I almost said on the West Coast. I almost flipped. Heather's on the East Coast. I am on the West Coast. So there is going to be a nice range of time for you to be able to find, to be able to sign up for an interview.
Absolutely. Well, such a good day.
Yeah.
I know we finished early, but I'm full. I'm full of just love and hope and just ready to take on the rest of my afternoon with my big headphones.
100%. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you sign up for goodpeople.io. I've got the link down here scrolling at the bottom with Suzy Choi's community. It has grown fast and furious. Now over 3,000 people who are job hunting. So, all right. We've got someone saying, sounds fantastic. Don't have your name. Sorry about that.
We love you, LinkedIn
yes,
users.
we love. Yep. Well, thank you all for joining, and we will be sure to see you next time.